We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us this morning. Joined from out of Knox County, Representative Rick Staples. He is the vice chair of the Tennessee Black Caucus. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Great conversation. Thanks for covering it.
It's important. Thank you. Listen, we have a few phone calls for you, if that's all right. We'll take a couple of them, and if you want to get a chance to respond, we'll take a call from Ann. Ann, good morning. Do you have a question or comment for the representative?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We in Nashville fought very diligently and lobbied to get a community oversight board here in Davidson County. Many of those people were participating in the peaceful march on Saturday. The one conversation that has not taken place in the last 2 years that the Community Oversight Board and Nashvillians have lobbied for is the conversation that has not taken place is with Chief Anderson. It has been asked for in every form of communication known to man, and he has 150% refused to communicate in every way possible with the Community Oversight Board.
Are you familiar with the Community Oversight Board situation that happened here in Metro Nashville, Representative? I can fill you in if you're not.
Well, I remember that there was some consternation at the General Assembly in regarding Nashville and their oversight board, because obviously Knox County has one as well. So I'm familiar with there being an issue on that.
Okay, yeah, and that was basically it, and it really spawned here, I think, out of some police-involved shootings, and it's to give another level of review to see the way things are handled. And I'm not sure how much conversation has been between the chief and the board, but I mean, is that one of the issues here, is making sure that there is a better dialogue between those in charge of law enforcement and those in the community?
Well, you have to understand, where were police before they became police officers? How did they see the African-American community? In most cases, they saw blight, disinvestment, images on television, which are negative. So when they have their first contact as an officer, they don't see African-Americans in a positive light. And then two, especially at the local level, the laws that they enforce, the policies that they go by to govern themselves, come from their local legislative arm, and primarily they're beholden to the administration of whatever city or metro area or county that they're a part of. So it stops right there within the administration, local level legislative branch to put that oversight in, listen to the people that elected them, and make the necessary changes to protect our citizens of said city or county.
You mentioned the key phrase there, the citizens who elected them, and obviously you are an elected representative. In your mind, how important, and I'm sure you work hard at this, at getting the African-American population out to make sure they vote, to get representation for themselves? Is that part of the issue here, maybe part of the problem, that more of them need to vote?
Well, in the Eastern Grand Division, there are only 2 African Americans, unfortunately, how the lines are drawn, to represent African Americans in East Tennessee. I'm the only one east of Chattanooga to the tip of Tennessee going to North Carolina. So African Americans are disenfranchised with government. They don't trust government. They don't see lasting change, or when policies are put in place, there are policies with no teeth or no action. You have to remember Tennessee itself as far as business and growth, because that's where change comes when you vote, but also when you have some economic power. So look, the majority of the poverty in the state is in East Tennessee. Secondly to that, the state of Tennessee is less than 1% still over 2 decades with minority participation with vendors.
Let's take a call from Linda. Linda, good morning. Go ahead, Linda. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Michelle. Michelle, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Go ahead, ma'am, if you have a question for the representative.
Yes. I have a comment, if that's okay.
Okay.
My name is Michelle. I live here in Nashville. I've been living here probably since 2013. I am from the Washington, D.C. area. And I just wanted to say I attended that rally. It was a peaceful protest. But my comment is, I think one of the bigger issues is we're making this an African-American issue. those people at that rally, there were more Caucasian people than there were African Americans. So I think we need to really start to be clear that it's an everybody issue now across the nation. And the media does a good job of showing stuff, but the media is failing the community when they say that it's an everybody issue. It's not just black people. We've been suffering for a long time. Some of these things need to be dealt with. And right now we see that is a bigger issue than anybody wants to say. So when we start talking the right language, where everybody can understand what is going on, only then will we get to the issue. So I just wanted to make that comment. I was there from 2 o'clock. We walked from 10th Circle all the way to Legislative Square. No fight. What happened? And then we walked all the way from around Legislative Square to Broadway. No fights. What happened afterwards is something totally different. But the comment again, it's an everybody issue, not just African Americans. We got.
Okay, Representative, you want to respond to that?
And that's good that there were other individuals participating. This is an issue that we're going to have in concert with whites, Democrats, Republicans, independents, across any party line, and that's good that they were participating. But it's African Americans that continue to suffer the loss and the abuse of power. If you look at just certain things that we deal with on a daily basis, mostly African American lived in neighborhoods are suffering through gentrification, where they're losing their home. And they're also, because of how lines are drawn, African American representation because of gentrification is under threat. So there is a daily struggle for African Americans within this country. Once again, if we cannot go out and exercise just jogging, if we cannot have interaction with law enforcement, that we shouldn't feel the threat that we could be murdered, it is an issue. Yes, it's great to have individuals working in concert with you, but understand that the angst and the pains and those that have suffered the loss, those that are going through the mental anguish, those that believe there's no change ever coming, that nobody's representing them or standing up for them, are African Americans in the state of Tennessee.
You know, I'm looking at some of the comments here, and an individual says the state of Tennessee has nothing to do with Floyd, cannot fix what happened in another state in Minnesota. But we've had incidents, you know, involving officer-involved shootings. In fact, one that's set to go to trial here in Davidson County whenever the courts get back up and running, Representative, where a Metro police officer is charged with murder in the death of an individual. I think that individual's mother is joining us now. That's Vicki Hambrick. Vicki, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
How y'all doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm not doing too well today.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Today his birthday. He turned 27.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, what went through your mind when you saw the protests, Vicki, this past weekend? We know your background and your son, in that case now still planning to go to trial. What went through your mind?
I wanted them to have it, but I don't want them to turn up the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need the courthouse. I need to go back in to get justice for my son. And like I told my play kids now, I'm going to get justice no matter what.
That's Vicki Hambrick, and her son was involved in a police-involved shooting, one that now is going to be adjudicated. The officer charged with murder, and that case still pending. But you heard her say there, I think she doesn't want the courthouse torn down or burned down, even though it's not the criminal court that they targeted, because that's where the trial will occur, in a court. But you know, it's very hurtful for her, I imagine, seeing this, knowing what happened to her own son, Representative.
Well, we all need to yield and respect her pain. What a powerful statement. And today, being her son's birthday, is just, we all just really need to be silent and stand in prayer for her during this time. And to the individual's comment, that's a prime example of unfortunate mindsets in the state of Tennessee. Thinking that individuals are not dealing with this in this state. We have our head in the sand. We refuse to look and have these conversations. It's happening in Tennessee too. We have to do something about it. And just to think it's a faraway issue, a faraway land, and we're singing Kumbaya, and black folks ain't going through things in Tennessee is a complete fallacy. And if we're not careful, if we don't grab a hold of this passion, this focus, and this rage right now, it's not going to get any better. And that's why we're in the positions that we are, to affect and make change. We have to get past Martin Luther King quotes. We have to get past feel-good quotes and empathy. We have to move towards action steps. So you'll never have to have another mother celebrating a birthday of a son that was taken away from her by individuals that were supposed to protect she and her son.
We just have a couple of minutes left, though. So I guess, and clearly, and I think most would agree, this is a national issue. I mean, we see things happening in just about every state, one way or another. It is not a state-by-state issue. It's a national issue. But still, as a local legislator, you think you can make a difference in the individual states. They can do their own.
I love the state of Tennessee. I really wholeheartedly believe that we are the greatest state in the union. And we have the capability to do beautiful things. I've served with my colleagues at tough times like this, when tough decisions needed to be made, and they made them. We made them in concert together, despite whatever set differences that is assumed that we have. We did it together. And I love Knoxville and all of Knox County. So forgive me, but I do have a belief in my heart, in my bones, that we will get through this and people will see it and we will work together to do it. I know that I'm willing. I know that the colleagues in the Tennessee Black Caucus, the state legislators, are willing. So if we're standing here, even though we're in pain and we're hearing our community cry out, our hand is open to have another place in it that want to walk together towards change. And we have to get past the comments. And after this interview today, I hope that we're just moving into some real action steps so people can see it.
I certainly hope you're right. Representative Staples, thank you so much for joining us at this early hour from Knoxville, sir, and hopefully we'll talk to you again, sir. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you so much for having the conversation and using your platform. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, that is the Vice Chair of the Tennessee Black Caucus with us this morning. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up and give you a little programming note about what's happening tomorrow and more of what you can expect in our news coverage today, Monday, a busy news day. We'll be right back after this.